That's Michael Brown's parents, Leslie McSpadden and Michael Brown Sr. Join us now along with their attorney, Benjamin Crump. Good morning to all of you. And Mr. Brown and Ms. McSpadden, my condolences on the loss of your son.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A 10th straight night of violence in Ferguson. The National Guard is there now, and still the violence ended just hours ago. Ms. McSpadden, what will bring peace to the streets of Ferguson?
Justice. Justice will bring peace, I believe.
Only if that justice results in the arrest or charges being filed against Officer Wilson? Is that what it's going to take?
Yes. Him being arrested, charges being filed, and the prosecution. Him being held accountable for what he did.
Mr. Brown, do you have faith in the system in this matter?
Yes, I do.
Do you think it's worked so far?
No.
So what gives you the faith that it will work eventually?
Eventually, justice will prevail.
I want to ask you about the autopsy that was conducted on behalf of your family by Dr. Bodden, and I don't want to go into great detail, but we do know he was shot 6 times. Did you learn what you think you needed to know from that autopsy that gives you a clearer picture of what happened to your son that night?
No.
What more do you need to know?
Why?
Why?
Why? What was the cause for that? Excessive force, you know.
Unnecessary.
I want to ask you about that force.
Nobody deserved that.
Let me ask you about that force, and Ben, let me bring you in on this one. The St. Louis County prosecutor, Mr. McCullough, said police shootings are different from other shootings because officers by law are authorized to use force, and he said you have to determine whether the level of force in each case was appropriate or excessive. Ben, based on what you saw in that autopsy performed by Dr. Bodden, are you confident that this was excessive force?
I think clearly this was excessive force, Matt. In fact, you look at the autopsy, you look at the witness accounts, when he put his hand up in surrender and all the witnesses say the police continued to shoot, it's going to be an issue that comes before this prosecution praying that he is arrested, Matt, that the jury's going to have to decide what is the amount of necessary force to use, because all the witnesses said it seemed like an execution-style murder, and that's why there's so much unrest to say you can't do this to our children in broad daylight.
Ms. McSpadden and Mr. Brown, you say you're looking for justice for your son. I ask you, do you think this continuing violence in the streets of Ferguson night after night runs the risk of overshadowing that search for justice? In some ways, does it detract from justice for your son?
No. No.
I think that it does somewhat, because it is a distraction, but we won't let it distract us to the point where we lose focus. We have to remain focused, and we have to remain strong, and the violence needs to stop. When justice is prevailed, then maybe they'll regain their trust in the locals. But right now, it's really out of control.
We need to keep the focus on Michael Brown, Jr. That's who we need to keep the focus on, Michael Brown, Jr.
Mr. Brown, Ms. McSpadden, Ben, thank you very much for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.